Welcome to this course. Let's do a brief introduction about the course and what we're going to cover. My background, I come from a traditional GIS and remote sensing background. I didn't know any remote sensing GIS during my college. I picked it up. I did my master's where I learned all the traditional desktop tools, and I got my lucky break when I was hired at Google in the very early days. I'll tell you a few stories around that as we cover some of the material, but I was thrown into this world where I had to learn programming very quickly, and I started learning and really enjoyed doing programming. So I've been coding for almost 20 years now in Python, and a lot of the experience has been building large-scale data pipelines. I've been working on my startup for now 3 years, building course materials, teaching online classes like this, and I continue to build a lot of open content.
So yeah, I have done my master's in geoinformatics, and during my thesis, I had to do a workflow which does some automation and sends email to authorities as a part of the process. So I started automating some geospatial stuff using Python, and after that, I worked with several government and private organizations and started exploring Python, R, Google Earth Engine more and more for my GIS. And yeah, I'm TA for the class.
Just briefly telling you about my Python journey because that has inspired how I think about learning Python and how this course is designed. As I mentioned, I was hired at Google in one of the early days, and I didn't know any programming. And I was hired at this hot startup where everybody was this amazing software engineer, and I was joined this team. And on the very first week, my boss came to me and gave me a problem that I was totally stumped with. So I'll briefly tell you about the problem. I've blogged about it, so I'm going to open this blog on my website. My job was to process some aerial data and publish it on Google Earth. That was my job there. So my boss hands me this hard drive with 10,000 tiles, and all the tiles looked like this. They had really nice aerial imagery, but they had these gaps. The data was sitting in this hard drive for a while. It got corrupted. And again, we're talking about 20 years back. There was, very common thing to happen to data that's on this magnetic hard drives. So we had this data that was corrupted, and he said, "Can you go and publish this data? Can you go and fix this?" And all I knew was MapInfo, ArcInfo, and all those software I had tried. There was no function to kind of fix this random missing lines in data. So I asked around, I asked some of my colleagues, and they said, maybe you should try doing some programming and use this thing called GDAL, where you can read this data and do some, fix this. I had no idea what GDAL was. I had no idea how to do coding. But imagine me at this first week of the job, I didn't want to go back to my boss and say, I can't do this. So I, spent the next couple of weeks learning about GDAL, learning about Python, and I cobbled together a script. And my idea was that there was this 1 pixel gap in my image. I could fix this and say, I'll fill this gap by average of the top and bottom pixel. This was a very high resolution imagery. And if I can do this, it can fix the error. And this was not a scientific data. It was just a visual imagery that was collected by planes. So it should work. But again, I had to do this for 10,000 tiles. So I ended up writing a Python program, not very different than what I've come here. And I ran it on one file, and it worked. And I was very excited. So I started a for loop and say, go through all these 10,000 files, run the script, all of them. I started the script, went home, and next day when I came, all the tiles were fixed. And I was able to take this and publish it on Google Earth. And that was my first encounter. It felt magical that just by learning programming, I could build my tools, I could fix the problems. I didn't have to rely on software vendor building those features for me. So I was immediately hooked, and I started spending a lot of time learning about programming, and I've never looked back. Most of my job was to build data pipelines. So take the data, apply some processing, and publish them out. After working with Python for a few years, I was self-taught. Remember, I had not gone to a computer science school. I have not taken any Python courses. And over time, I hit the limit of what I could do by myself, because I didn't really understand what the language was doing under the hood. I didn't have that intuition of the language, so I got stuck at a certain level, but I didn't really have the skills. So finally, I took some formal classes to kind of fill the gaps in my knowledge, understand how the language was structured, and that gave me the skills to take my skills further. And again, that's something that I'll focus on in this course to help you understand what's going under the hood. so that once you start advancing your skills, you have that intuition of why this is working, how can I make this better and scale it better. I started learning how to apply Python for GIS. So I started customizing QGIS, building plugins, and I also started, writing more larger pipelines. This was one of my large projects where I had to take data that was published and get it out and publish it on Google Earth very, very quickly. And again, how to do this at scale, at the speed that was needed for a production system. So I learned all those new skills while I was working on that. Finally, I was working on Google Earth Engine, did some work to ingest large data. After leaving Google, this was the age where machine learning was becoming popular. I worked on this project where I applied machine learning to predict travel times using OpenStreetMap data. So this was another experience where I had to process a lot of data, had to gather a lot of data, and build this model. And the code is open source. If you click on this link, you'll go and see that work. So feel free to check that out. As I started working with Python more, I found there's a gap on data visualization. So I developed this course for building apps and dashboards and creating nice graphics using Python. That's the next level of this course. So once you finish this course, if you want to learn more advanced visualization skills, this would be the course for you to consider. Last year, again, was the year of AI, where finally AI started making sense, that there are applications. So I spent a lot of time learning about these new tools and applying the new tools to geospatial problems. I have some examples I'll probably share with you during the class if there was interest. And again, my current advice to all of you is that AI is not going to replace programmers. It's going to help you become more efficient and more powerful. So for example, if you were to extract solar panels from satellite imagery, that was a skill that you would probably spend a few years mastering deep learning and maybe do a PhD and really build the skills to do this. Nowadays, if you know Python in 5 lines of code, you'll be able to do this, but you still need to know Python, right? You have all this kind of foundation models that are available to you that can do all the work, but you still need programming to be able to use that. So learn enough Python so that you can use these tools that allow you to use and kind of participate in this really growing ecosystem. My current interest is to apply Python to modern geospatial analysis using cloud-based data set. So right now, if you want to analyze large volumes of satellite imagery, you're stuck with proprietary systems like Earth Engine. There's nothing really there in open source, but the open source ecosystem offers this new way of doing things. And I'm developing a new course that allows you to work with large-scale remote sensing data. So look for this course to be available in your future. Why learn Python? All of you during your introduction mentioned that maybe you want to automate things, you want to learn new things. There are other reasons to learn Python as well. For me, the biggest thing what Python offers me is the freedom that I don't need to depend on anybody to build tools for me. If I'm using a software and say, I wish I had a button that did this, or I wish I had a tool that could fix my problem, well, I could build the tool myself. So I think this is the biggest thing that programming gives you, to be able to build your own tools. Efficiency, you can automate things, you can process large data. If you have a nice idea that can help your organization or help your research, Python allows you to experiment very quickly. You can put together a prototype very quickly, demonstrate it to stakeholders, and maybe work on a larger project. So Python is really good for that. Many times, even at large companies, people use Python to put the prototypes together. And once they say this is a viable thing, then you'll go and build it using full-fledged performance languages like C++ or Java. But Python is really good for kind of prototyping and putting together demos quickly. Opportunities. If you're now want to participate in this AI-based ecosystem, you have to learn Python. The whole ecosystem is around Python, and unless you know Python, you can't really use any of those tools. And fun. I think once you learn enough to not bother you with the syntax, it's really fun. You can do a lot of things. You can make computers do things which were not possible, and you can start having fun. So my goal for you is that maybe at the end of the course, you're not afraid of programming anymore, and maybe you can start having a little bit of fun. And if you do that, then I'll be very happy with that. So the course is structured in 2 parts. We have the live sessions where we'll cover all the fundamentals of Python, where I'll help you understand the syntax. We'll do some coding, hands-on, solve problems. Today will be just basics. So if you never programmed before, we'll learn how to write Python code, how to do basic things, what are the different parts of the language, and so on. Even while we're doing this, the focus will be on solving geospatial problems. So again, all the examples are around the stuff that I've solved using Python in real world problems. So you'll get a glimpse of what Python can do for you. But again, this will be building the foundation. Tomorrow, we'll be doing the data processing. So we'll take one problem, a very common problem in geospatial data science is the problem of computing distances. You'll pick two cities and say, I want to compute the distance between those two cities. You'll first apply a basic formula, assuming Earth is a sphere, and we'll get the distance along a sphere. And you might say, that's not really true. We are all geospatial scientists. We know that Earth is actually an ellipsoid. So we'll refine that, use a third-party library that can do ellipsoid computation, and we'll say we'll compute the distance between the two cities along an ellipsoid. And we have some urban planners and say, but you can't really travel between these two cities on a straight line. So how can we get the real distance along the road network? And we'll use an API to be able to compute that. So we'll take the same problem and solve it in a different way, defining that over time, and we'll see how Python can allow to do that effectively. The next session, we'll start doing spatial data science. So we'll start working with data science libraries like pandas and geopandas. We'll take some GIS problems and solve it. So we'll take a problem that I typically teach in my advanced QGIS class, and we'll say, can we solve that completely using Python? No QGIS, just pure Python. How can we automate this and learn the libraries like GeoPandas? Then we'll work with some raster data. So we'll take some tiles and see how raster data analysis works with Python. And finally, I'll teach you some of the ways to automate and build scripts outside of the Jupyter Lab environment that we're using. So at work or when you work on a project, you may not have, you may be using a different environment with Jupyter Lab. So I'll give you an introduction to different environments and how you can use those for Python as well. With that, we'll get started. So we're going to start with our first introduction to the Jupyter environment.